OTB AM.
With Gillette, put your best face forward with our new and improved razors.
It's incredible to be the first Irish person and to show that it is possible from a girl from a small little town in Ireland to be able to compete against the best players in the world and be able to win on the LPGA.
All right, I'm delighted to say Declan Maguire is with us this morning. Declan, how are you getting on?
Great, Tommy. Good morning to you too.
It's Jaron Owen here as well. Can I bring you back to after the Solheim Cup? We chatted after that, and your level of excitement at that stage was huge, and the whole country's was as well. Owen's just made the point that that was kind of a coming out party, just to that level where now people are going to be following every step of the way. There was just a natural kind of expectation that a win is going to come, but at the same time, the psychology behind that and the ability to maybe just rest on your laurels is something that most sports people are going to have to battle. Pardon me, it didn't seem like that was ever, there was no sense of that at any stage from Leona, that she was going to rest on her laurels, that this was her time to kick on.
No, definitely not. You know what I mean? So you know the marathon runner there, that with the world record holder, his view is, you know, if you climb to one branch, then you reach for the next one. And I think Leona has the same philosophy. It's, you know, she raised that hand at the end. It's, you know, it might be the first win, but Leona's already looking to to get another win behind that to back it up. She's not going to rest on the laurels. She will celebrate. She'll enjoy herself, but she wants now to back that up and get back into, when she gets home next week. She'll be back with Shane, back with Joe, back with the whole team around in the Sports Institute, and she'll be looking to get to the next level, next branch of the tree.
The other aspect, so there's two parts to that. One is just the competitive drive and the ability then to deliver on the competitive drive and the ambition, and it's all being perfectly managed. But the other side is the personality, where she's clearly embracing the fact that she is a leader. She's conscious of the fact that there are young girls all over Ireland and young boys all over Ireland watching somebody from small town in Ireland succeed. Even the tweet last night about can see, can be, like, that whole movement is something that she's been very happy to be part of, which we don't often see from sports people. They're not conscious of the fact that they're role models, or they try and keep it at bay because they don't want the responsibility of it. She's definitely leaning into that.
Yeah, no, she's comfortable with that because she knows herself. You know, she got a lot of help along the way. You know, back to I remember the time that Darren Clark put a lot of time into the Darren Clark Foundation, and he brought them up on weekends. You know what I mean? Lisa and ourselves, Oren got to them as well, where they got up for a weekend. All good golfers, you know, anybody that maybe had won some tournaments or were doing well at junior golf, Darren brought them up for a weekend. They were treated like pros for the weekend, got the latest equipment and, putters, wages, whatever. And I think Leona's led on from that. She hopes to be, giving something back and encourage, because that's what it's all about, is developing the game, encouraging other young golfers or young people to get an interest in sport, and particularly girls, because, and especially in the teenage years, it tends to, maybe more girls tend to drop out, whereas Leona's view is, keep playing, couldn't be doing anything better than to be out in a golf course, or if you're into running, being out in the running track, or ladies football, or whatever it might be. And if anything she can do to help that, she will do that.
It's great that she's using her platform at the same time as being successful, that she can juggle these responsibilities. Because again, we keep hearing from the sports people, oh, look, I'm in my bubble, I don't really want to get involved, I don't want to talk about anything beyond the next game. But actually Leona's like, I've got an opportunity here, get out and play, like, dream big.
That's it. It's a case of, if you don't dream big, you're never going to get there. You have a certain amount of talent, as that Bill Belichick used to say, talent sets the floor, character sets the ceiling, you know what I mean? And Leona, there's probably a lot more talented golfers have been around than Leona, but Leona, when she, I think she lacks in talent, she'll make up in character, because she will give it every last drop she has, to achieve what she wants to achieve. And she is very driven, she's very focused. She'll leave no stone unturned. She'll take the advice that's going, you know what I mean? And she's got a lot of good advice. She had an hour phone call over the Christmas there, a Zoom call with Paul McGinley, and he's been a great mentor to her now over the last number of years since she turned pro, as she was turning pro. And it's people like that has given to her, and likewise she then, has no issue with giving back to other people and encouraging other people to maybe someday, match her and even be better than her.
What is it about the message that someone like Paul McGinley gives to Leona last Christmas? Is there a certain aspect that she worked on in between 2021 and 2022?
I think the biggest message, that Paul put across to her, is there's no magic formula. It's simple things done well. Small. If you're making changes, small changes. Don't change anything. Don't be too drastic with anything. Look for the small areas that you can improve, not for the massive changes where you're going to, get the latest thing that's on the new coaching thing that's out there. Stick with what you know and stick what you do well, and improve your strengths and look at your weaknesses and not focus too much on weaknesses, but improve every aspect of your game. Where you can get small changes and not be thinking that you're going to get massive changes. Like, there's no point Leona thinking she's going to go out in the golf course and outdrive Nelly Corda, today or tomorrow. That's not going to happen. So it's a slow process, and you focus. And I think that's what she's done. And I think you maybe heard her there at the weekend talking about the time she's put in there lately on wedges and that. And it's paying off, where she, a bit like Richard Bland there, we were talking about that last weekend and how well he had done in that tournament. I think in the last 9 holes, he looked out of contention in that event that he ended up in the playoff that Victor Hovland won, and he had to get up and down 3 times for par, which he did. And then on the 17th, where they were all sort of driving the 17th, he laid up, wedged it in, hold the birdie, and he did again the same on the 18th, where he laid up and then went for his 3rd shot and ended up birdieing to go into the playoff. So it's playing to your strengths, really, and that's what Paul McGinley, stressed to her. Play to your strengths, Leona. Know what you're good at and focus on that, and then try to improve in small graduation as you go along.
The other thing is that there's been pressure, I suspect, in being so well known at the forefront of the women's game in Ireland, but every step of the way she's been able to deliver. Does she feel that pressure? Does she get inspired by that pressure? Does it not exist? What's that relationship like? I think Leona, she's one of those characters that, works on pressure. I listened to Andy Farrell there at the weekend, talking to me. He was saying, they were asking him what he liked about the job, and he said he loved the pressure of it, being in the heat of the battle or whatever. I think Leona loves that. I've always said that Leona's always at her best when she's in the mix on a Sunday or Saturday, whatever the last round is. If she is in the mix at that stage, you know what I mean? She, whatever it is, she just seems to go into a different zone at that stage. And she never backs off. She won't back off from anything. I know maybe on the 18th, the other evening, she knew that she had nothing to gain, you know what I mean, by going for the green and 2. So, and I'm sure Dermot had a big say in that as well, that he wouldn't let her go for the green. But had she needed to go for it in that situation, she would have gone for it. She wouldn't have backed off either. So she just, I think pressure, for some people, pressure, it's hard to manage pressure, and it probably ends up at the end of the day making the difference when you get into a tight competition, whether you can handle pressure or not. But I'd never fear from Leona, in that situation. She, it's like Solon Cup, when she got Nelly Corda and Jessica, she loved that. And in actual fact, I think I said that to you maybe the last time. Yeah. On the last day, she was hoping she was going to get Nelly Corda. She wasn't looking for, an easy match or anything like that. When she's in that situation, she will want to play the best, and she will want to match herself off the best. She's not going to say she's always going to beat the best, but she will always, I think from we started playing, I remember when they started first, they were going to America to play in the junior tournament. We entered the ladies stroke play event, and there were only 12 at the time. And I'd say a lot of people wondered what the mentality was entering the Irish stroke play at 12, and why were we even there? But the sort of mentality was, look, that this is the best that's in Ireland at the moment. We're going to see what the best is, and then from there we can work a plan. And I think that's what we've always tried to do is look at who's the best, and then try and get to that, match yourself against them. And it's like all the teams there in the last, 6 years, Kerry and the Mayos and that,
they've been looking up to Dublin, and Dublin have been the best. And, they might be going through a transition at the moment, but they have been there, as an example to everybody to, what to achieve. And that brings the levels up of everybody. And it's the same idea with Leona. Leona will work off the best and hopefully, one day get to that world number one place, as a result.
And does she change, do you find, when you actually, you get to a point like the Solheim Cup and the response is so great, like it's absolutely sensational, it's historically good, the response, that point you're talking about, when you're in the mix on a Saturday or Sunday, that Leona rises to the occasion. Every time you get the confidence of rising to the occasion, does she become even better at that point, because the risk taking and the aggressiveness is something that gets validated in a way?
Yeah, that's it. I think, it's a huge confidence thing to her. The Solheim Cup probably gave her that really self-belief that she can compete with any of them. But then she, we talked to the other night after it, this one, she had to do it on her own. But I think when you do it once, that was my little bit of fear or whatever, I suppose, from a parent point of view, is that, lots of teams, lots of individuals get to a stage where you have a chance to win. And for one reason or another, bit of bad luck or maybe a wrong decision or whatever, you just don't get it across the line. And then if that sets in, it can have, sort of a lasting effect. And, it's always there in the back of your mind. So I think the earlier you can overcome that hurdle, the better chance you have of going on then. And I think that's what the weekend will do to Leona. It's, she knows herself, it's only one tournament. It's early in the year. She probably, even at this stage, Joe that plans out her whole, program for the year, wouldn't have been thinking she would win this early, wouldn't be picking her for this early. So hopefully there's a lot more to come as the year goes on.
Declan, you mentioned that she is pretty pressure-free when it comes to these white heat of battle moments. What about yourself and the family? Was it a pressure-free moment for you watching the conclusion on Saturday night?
Yeah, no, I'll be honest, lads, I'm not a great fan of watching when Leona's playing. I prefer Breda watches everything, and as I'd be sort of maybe thinking what could go wrong or what mightn't happen, you know what I mean? And I prefer to kind of either watch at the end or re-watch the whole thing afterwards and then chat to her about it then. I don't really enjoy the watching of it, to be honest.
Well, you're going to need some help with that, I suspect, because you've got like a long future ahead of you of watching Leona be in contention. So I don't know. Do you need a few sessions with a sports psychologist yourself?
That's it. But no, in sports psychology, in fairness, Leona, she had a chat with Caroline Curran over the Christmas too, and Caroline, I think I told her, look, I'm very impressed what you're doing, and I think you're in a good place and you're in a place to win. So that reassurance from someone like Karen Curd that has been up there with top teams, top athletes, I think that gave her an extra boost of confidence as well, knowing that, look, I don't need to do anything different. I just need to stick to what I believe, stick to what I'm doing, stick to my practice routines. And as you said yourself over Christmas, I've never seen her work as hard as she did over Christmas this year. When people were home, and that's Leona. She likes to be in her own bed and likes to be in her own, surroundings or whatever. But and everybody else probably was watching, Christmas movies and, on Good Day or whatever. You know what I mean? Leona was really focused this Christmas. Probably the most I've ever seen her.
Herself and her sister have become a great team as well. I know you guys obviously weren't out there, but like it's great that there is a family member on the ground keeping an eyes and ears open and just making sure everything's okay.
Yeah, no, Lisa's been terrific for Leona, you know what I mean? And it's brilliant. It was a brilliant decision of Modest to keep Lisa involved because, when it comes to all the organising in the background, you know what I mean, making decisions on certain things, whatever, Lisa's there, and Lisa's puts Leona's interests first, you know what I mean? It's to have somebody that was there that played at that level, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, as an amateur, Lisa probably was as good as it was around, European individual champion, naming a few. You know what I mean? Lisa, been there, sort of done it. Now choosing a different route now. You know what I mean? But Lisa or Leona couldn't have better than Lisa in her bag, and that, and on top of that, Dermot Byrne, who came on the bag last year, and that, you know, Lisa was a sort of, I'll be honest, made a call on that to Leona, you know what I mean, advised her, you know what I mean, and then when Dermot became available, it was no brainer, and I think he's been a big plus too for Leona, you know, in terms of that, what you were mentioning earlier, that whole confidence, to have somebody that, you know, she said herself when she was talking to us afterwards, you know, when Altamara had those runner bodies at the beginning, you know, Dermot was ultra calm, you know, just stay patient. Your chance is going to come, you know, keep waiting. And, you know, terrific that it did. And, you know, I think that gives you that bit of confidence. Leona knows that, you know, if Dermot says something, you know, he's not just saying it for the sake of it, or, you know, he knows what he's talking about and he's been there, he's done it, you know. And again, Paul McGinley, I think, had an influence too on Dermot coming on the bag, and that's been a great plus as well.
Look, it's brilliant. I mean, it is sensational that you know, the markers of success have all been surpassed all the time. You know, Solheim Cup, it's great to get on the team, but then you go and you dominate, and then it's like you can shoot low scores as good as anybody. You can go toe to toe, and it turns out inevitably she is going to be going toe to toe with Nelly Corda at some point, and there will be some major prizes on the line in the future as well. So she's going to get what she wants as well. That's the other thing, is like all the thought processes, all the hard work, all the advice is all kind of coming together at the right time. It's incredibly exciting, Declan.
Yes. No, it's at this stage of the year, you know what I mean, with the restrictions lifted, you know, people, you know, have had a tough 2 years. You know, it's funny, you know, yesterday I was down, my sister had a serious operation there just before Christmas, and down to visit her yesterday evening, and you know, she's having difficulties, you know, after as well. So, but it's amazing the lift that it gave, you know what I mean, to Kitty and the family, you know what I mean, to distract from, you know, the health problems she's had or whatever, and it gives a lift to people, you know, when something like this happens. And no more than, like, you know, it was a brilliant weekend of sport, you know, starting Friday night at the under-20s, watching them, you know what I mean, and the future Irish rugby's great. Then Saturday the matches, you know, so the golf, you know, we're very, very lucky to have that, you know, when, especially in January, February, this time of the year when everything's dreary and the weather's not so good, and so it just gives everybody a lift, and long may it continue. Exactly.
Leona brought a little bit of Florida into our lives on Saturday evening, which, you know, we're very grateful for. Congratulations to everybody, and thanks a million for joining us again, Declan.
No, thank you, and thanks for all the support.
It's Declan Maguire there. You're going to hear from Leona on Golf Weekly this week. She's talking to the lads tonight. If you want to listen to that, get over to otbsports.com and or Golf Weekly on Patreon, and you'll be able to hear that full interview with the newly minted first ever Irish winner on the LPGA. It's an incredible story.
It is, and it is one that I'd love to get sort of the inside track on, even like currently over the next little while. It's really interesting that she's coming home for a while, going to the Sports Institute for a while. Like, this career has almost been created in a lab, and it continues to go in that direction. Well, the planning around everything and what the next step is going to be is very, very interesting.
Paul Fitzpatrick put her on the Mount Rushmore for Cavan and had to argue with people on Twitter about it. It turns out he was correct. Hopefully he'll write the book that gives you the inside track and all the details of it.
Although we've got a fair degree of insight there, to say the least. Like, I hadn't realised that Caroline Curd had been involved in the Leona Maguire story in the not too distant past. Paul McGinley's influence had been mentioned last year as well in the aftermath of the Solheim Cup, but he consistently seems to have an interest in Leona Maguire's trajectory. He'd obviously noticed the path that she was on some time ago and realised that she was destined for the very top. And I mean, it would take someone like Paul McGinley to properly understand what that winner's mentality actually is, and that is clearly the one of the most important things that's taken her to where she is at the moment.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, I don't think that we should take for granted the fact that she's willing to talk about being a role model, because so many sports people are insistent that oh, I'm just a business person, this is just my job, I have no connection with that stuff, I'm not paying any attention to that, that's for other people to decide. She's like, no. Can't see, can't be, can see, can be. I'm part of this movement, and it's a wellspring of very important conversation that we're having around female participation and dropout rates and all that kind of stuff. She's like, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to use my platform for the benefit of the society that I've come from. Many of our other professional sports people are footballers and are golfers, and they could learn and take a little leaf out of Leona Maguire's book, I would say.